Hello, book lovers, and welcome to Book Talk Radio Club. My name is Claire Perkins, and today I'm talking to author Trisha J. Kelly. Trisha is a prolific writer. She's written adult books about crime and murder, but she's mostly known for her children's books, including the Scarlet and Mesa series, which have won high acclaim and awards, including Best in Children's Books at last month's Book Talk Radio Club Awards. Hi, Trisha. First of all, welcome and thank you for coming on Book Talk Radio Club.
Hi Claire, good morning, and it's great to be here today. Thanks very much for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. Trisha, you must be exhausted after all that writing. Do you write as the ideas pop into your head, or do you take time out, sit and think, and then the ideas start to flow?
If only. No, I'm a total pantster, Claire. I think writing's become a little bit of it's like an obsession now, without a doubt.
Mm.
The idea they just pop into my head, and all the time, even when I'm asleep, ideas are popping through my head. So there's no rhyme or reason to what I write about. I have a tiny idea, then pop, off I go, and the story sort of unfolds before my eyes. I think really my imagination's the only plan I need.
That's wonderful. Let's start with the wonderful Scarlet and Mason series. I had so many children's books submitted to me for the Book Talk Radio Club Awards, but discovering Widgety Waters, the first in the series, just stood out above the rest. It reminded me of the books my mum used to borrow for me from the library when I was a kid. A thoroughly enjoyable, magical adventure and so well written. Would you like to tell Book Talk Radio Club's listeners about the first book in the series?
Yeah, sure. First of all, Claire, I want to thank you for liking my book so much that I won the Best in Children's Award. I'm honoured you felt the passion that I put into the book, so that's really special. The Scarlet and Mesa series is based on two siblings. Unbeknown to them, they are the chosen two. So one minute they're living an ordinary day-to-day life, which is all about to change. So their father is faced with redundancy, or he has a choice to take up his boss's offer and move to Water's End. So really it's a no-brainer for him. A few weeks later, the family find themselves living on this island in the Kentish waters. It's a group of 7 islands, and together they're known as Widgety Waters. The first book, like the next 4, are all about discovering who they really are. After all, it was written in the history books hundreds of years before. So the basic idea is they have to unlock each island from an ancient curse. To do this, they have to go back through time with the help of their new teacher. They're very disappointed to find they even have a teacher when they go on the islands. So they travel to dimensions in the following books too, where they've got to carry out all kinds of crazy stuff. So as each book goes along, it gets more and more involved, and then they realise they've got powers that they didn't have before. So it's lots of fun, and then they meet tons of new families. Many more creatures come in, and other oddities are introduced as each book goes along. After this, there is a 6th book. It is part of the same series, but it happens 2 years after the first 5 books, which are basically unlocking the islands. They were given an ancient key. So in book 6, everything that they've done so far just becomes a lot clearer.
Right. So Scarlet and Mason, I believe you based the 2 characters on kids you used to know?
Yes, Claire. Yeah, I know him very well. I loosely based the book on myself and my younger brother. I was the eldest sibling, sensible, well-behaved, so I bossily took charge. I was a bit of a bookworm. I was this sort of a child. He was younger. He was always naughty, always up to something, always doing something bad. So I sort of had a bit of a brainstorm about all of this. I mean, my younger brother was very clever. He was just a little bit lazy as a child.
Right.
And actually I talk of him in the past tense because he died in 2013. So I've dedicated the series to his memory, which I've written in the first book. And it was strange because when I decided to write the books, these ideas just came from nowhere and they were all flooding in my mind. So I really think I had a bit of inspiration and a bit of heavenly help with that.
I bet you did. Book 2 in the series, In the Wrong Lifetime, also recently won an award, didn't it? Which award was that?
Well, this was totally unexpected. One day I woke up and I had a message with this lovely badge from Pulp Fiction. This is an American-based group run by Tom Johnson, and he told me he does awards for all books, which I didn't realise. He had read the book, and I was given the award for the best juvenile fantasy for this book for 2018. The editor had read it and he loved it.
Yeah.
And I was totally surprised with that. And then, of course, a while later, I won an award from yourself as well. So I've had 2 awards in 1 year.
Wonderful.
So I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great if the whole series achieved that? But I'm not greedy. I've got my 2 and I'm well happy with
Well,
those.
you never know. You never know. So, what age group is the Scarlet Mason series aimed at? Well, apart from adults like me that still enjoy a kid's adventure story.
Well, it has been read by a lot of adults. So, from a reading age point of view, I would say approximately 8 years of age. I suppose if you think of it like the Harry Potter books, there's nothing that gets too scary, but it's suitable for younger children as well. But to actually read it, I would say 8 and up, and there's no upper limit. Anybody that enjoys fantasy and a bit of fun, including adults, are going to like these books.
I used to love all the Enid Blyton books when I was a kid, especially the Mallory Towers series. Is there a particular children's author that inspired you to start writing children's books, and in particular the Scarlet and Mason series?
No, there wasn't any author in particular. It's the style of the books that I like to read.
Right.
When I was a child, we lived on a large estate. There wasn't a local library, so pretty much it was just books that I read at school. And I did read a few of Enid Blyton's famous 5. And I love the adventure element in these books when the kids go up and they go off and they do something exciting. Even as an adult, I've loved the Harry Potter series just the same in the books and on the screen. It just appeals to me. So as a writer, it just came naturally to do that because I love the adventure element. So I've had comparisons to both of these writers in different ways for the book, including the Faraway Tree. I must confess I haven't actually read that. And then I had a review from a 10-year-old child who said he absolutely loved this. I won't say what he compared me to, but he loved it because it was done in a different way.
Right.
And that was great for me because I've really made a conscious effort to make my books unique and not like other stories.
Yeah, I love them. I just totally got lost in them. How many books? It's my pleasure. How many books are there in this series, and will there be any more? I mean, have we heard from the last of Scarlet and Mason? I hope not.
Well, sorry to disappoint. There are 6 books in the series. There won't be any more. The first 5 books concentrate on what it is the kids are actually undoing, which is unlocking the curses on the islands.
Yeah.
And then it was followed up, and the 6th book actually takes it all back and explains why, and it's lots of fun. So there won't be any more in that series because I've taken it to a conclusion, really. I can tell you the other books that are in the series. So they have to be read in a running order. So we have Discovering Witchy Waters and In the Wrong Lifetime that you've already mentioned. Then we have The Rise of Sorcha, When Some Were Missing, The Great Storm of 1397. Then that's followed up with The Mystery of the Ancient Key.
Right. So now let's go on to talk about 24 Sleeps to Go.
Yeah.
This is an advent of wonderful Christmas stories for young people, suitable for children from 3 to 11 years of age. So am I correct in thinking there's a children's story for every bedtime in the lead up to Christmas Day? What a fabulous idea.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, Claire. You're right. I pretty much base this idea like the same as when the kids get their little advent calendars with the chocolates, she says, and she's got her own in the front room. So I thought it would be fun at bedtimes for youngsters to have a bedtime story because they love to be read to anyway. So I said to my family, would you like to give me 24 ideas, just 1 or 2 words, and from that I'll create 24 stories, which I did. They're sort of 10-minute reads, one for every night from now up to the 24th. So of course older children can read it by themselves. Again, it's probably got a reading age of about 8, although it's suitable for younger ones. And I think the grown-ups are going to really enjoy reading these out.
What kind of stories are they? Can you give me a couple of outlines of the stories?
Yeah, they're a complete mixture of all different sorts of things, and we meet loads of characters that nobody even knows are related to Santa Claus. All right, let's give you 2 examples then. First of all, we've got a story in here called The Greedy Child. This is all about a young lady called Rubella Minx.
Great
So,
name.
yeah. So I think you can guess, as her name suggests, at the moment she's on Santa's naughty list. She's not a very good child at all. She's got a younger brother and sister who are very sweet, and they've both done their list to Santa Claus, and each of them have just written down one present that they really like, but not for Rubella. Her list, I think she's got at least 34 items on her big fat list. And it's so huge, no matter where she puts the list and tries to get Santa to take it away, it's too heavy. It just won't go up the chimney, and it won't go anywhere to Santa at all. So she's very huffy and puffy, and unless she changes her ways, I don't think Santa's going to get her list. So she's on one of my stories. Another one was a little bit different. It's quite a sweet story, and it's called Grandpa's Nativity Story. And it's a modern day version, really, of the classic Nativity play that children hear at school, and they quite often do their Christmas pantomimes based on it. So I think they'll all pretty much know about the 3 wise kings and how Jesus was born in the stable. So Grandad really loves telling his version to his grandson Joseph. But the story is actually about Joseph, and he's telling him what happened on the night that he was born, and what happened to Mummy and Daddy, and what they did. So there's a lot of similarities, but it's in a modern day setting. So there's sort of 2 examples what's in the book. Then we've just got a mixture of all sorts of things. The Tooth Fairy's in one of the stories, and she very much doesn't like the chocolate growing trees. That's the name of that story. And we've got a Christmas party, which is a lot of fun, and a pantomime with some new characters, including the ugly triplets, Moody, Broody, and Trudy. and they're pretty awful too. It's a bit of a fun story, that one. And then we've got a dear little story about Snowdrop, who's a beautiful white reindeer, and she wants to know why she's different. She goes on a journey. I won't tell you where she goes, but she goes on a lovely journey to find out why.
So as today is the 1st of December, we need to make sure kids get today's story, don't we? I'm assuming 24 Sleeps to Go is available on Kindle, and their parents can order and download it today on Amazon?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. And yes, they need to get it today if they're going to start the stories tonight. And as usual with all my children's books, I keep all the ebooks at just 99p to encourage young people to read and have a little bit of fun at pocket money prices. So they can find it on Amazon in any country.
Your most recently published book is Blinky, Napkins and Friends. Your names for your characters are wonderful. I love it. Who or what is Blinky Napkins?
Yeah, this is my latest book. I've only released this week. It's a short Christmas adventure. Well, I say short. It's still about 150 pages, so it's a good read. Now, Blinky, he's a wise old owl, and he descends from a long line of the night owl family. He's got a best friend who is a squirrel, and his name is Napkins, and he's got red fur. And they've got another best friend, and her name is Prickles, and she's a hedgehog. She's a lovely little hedgehog. I won't tell you all about her, but she has got special things that she does in the story. Now, behind them, there's always somebody tagging along, and she likes to have a listen. And she's a little madam, and she's a white rabbit, and her name is Tiny Minx. And she loves to dress up. She wears tutus and ballet shoes. She wants to be a ballerina. She's got lots of jewellery hanging off her big ears, and she wants to know because she eavesdrops and find out they're going on an adventure to find Santa. What Tiny Minx doesn't know is that she is also being followed by Slippery the Fox, and he's the nasty character. So as they all set off one night, she's following the friends, and Slippery is also following her. So along the way, they meet up with inventors Stanley Pritchett who has just finished his flying machine, and he's going to be a big help. He's got a big dog called Brutus, and he's got a horrible cat, a scrappy little cat called T-Bone, who's covered in plasters, and he doesn't like anybody or anything. So they go off in search of the night flyers, who are Santa's helpers, and they start to follow them to try and find Santa.
What age group is Blinky, Napkins and Friends aimed at?
Well, once again, it's approximately the same age. I would say reading age of 8, suitable for younger children, and also a great book for the grown-ups to read to the little ones.
The illustrations in all of your children's books are lovely. Trisha, did you do them or did you hire an illustrator?
Okay, I've got some inside pictures in my last 2 books, 24 Sleep to Go and Blinky. These are available images that I
Right.
put in myself. The covers, I also made the covers for these 2 Christmas books. I did get an illustrator for my children's series, Scarlet and Mesa. Originally, I did do the covers.
Mm.
They were a black set, and somebody told me they looked like a collection of trading cards in a nice way. But I did decide to have them done professionally, and I found a lovely Brazilian artist. She was great to work with. She hand drew each one and then digitally enhanced them all. And on the paperbacks as well, they've all got a little character on the back who is featured in the story in some way.
Mm. Wonderful. I understand from your bio that you always wanted to write children's books. You obviously have a gift for it, but why in particular children's books?
Um, well, I think really I like to write the same things that I like to read.
Right.
I mean, I do like thrillers and stuff like that, and I've written a couple of those as well. But particularly, I love children's books. There's a part of me that's always been. I've always had that thing inside. I love Christmas.
Mm.
When all the films come on, the films based on the books, I just love to get lost in these adventures. Um, so I think it's the escapism of it's just the adventure. Always go off on an adventure today and off we go. It's lovely. I love that. And I find that really easy to slip into. I must have a really childish part of my mind. Um, and that is why I prefer, out of all of them, to write the children's books. They're just so much fun.
So what stopped you from writing children's books earlier?
Well, I first started writing. No, I thought I'd start writing. In 1994, I had an idea to write a book, and I wrote a children's book, and I printed it all off. It was painstaking back then. I put it into a folder, and it's still in the folder. I called it the Bromington Nomad. It was about a tramp who his mind kept going back in time to the war, and he hears and sees things, and he befriends a young boy in his family.
Mm.
Maybe one day I'll take that out and revamp it. So I started doing that then, and poetry. I like writing poems.
Mm-hmm.
I first won a national award for a poem when I was about 9. A teacher entered that, and I didn't know anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to school, and I was given a lovely silver pen and a certificate. So I write a few poems as well, and they're in books back then with mixed authors.
Right.
But it was so much harder than I was supposed to get a book published. So,
Yes.
and then I just put it to one side, raised my family, and then I just had a brainstorm a couple of years ago. I'm going to write a book.
So is 2019 going to be another big writing year for you, or do you intend to take a breath at some point?
Well, I'm supposed to be taking a breath now for a couple of months over the winter time, but I find that a bit difficult. So I've got some works in process. In progress. I've got a YA, a triple YA, and I've started writing about 4 chapters into that and done. It's going to be a trilogy, and I've done the covers. I've always wanted to write mysteries, so I've also done other covers. 2 lots of cozy mysteries, and one is a cold case murder, and well, murder or not. So that remains to be seen. So I'm 3 chapters through in that one as well. So it's fair to say in 2019. I'll be writing.
So where can readers purchase your books?
Okay, well, every single book out so far, I've got 10 published books so far, including the adult crime thrillers.
Wow.
They're all on Amazon. The Scarlet and Mason series are also on Lulu, and obviously that they sort of side on to all the other online retailers as well.
Great. All right, well, thank you, Trisha. That was wonderful. Please come back on Book Talk Radio Club again.
Yeah.
I'd love to chat with you and hear more. In the meantime, good luck for the future, and thank you, everyone, for listening to Book Talk Radio Club. Thank you, Trisha.
Thanks very much, Claire. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.